Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Noelle. Welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to make the super trendy paper mache bowls that I've been seeing everywhere, all over Restoration Hardware and McGee&co. And this is going to be a super simple DIY project. So we're not going to be mixing up our own paper mache. So that's going to be really awesome and make it super simple. And I really took one for the team, you guys, because I actually had an allergic reaction to this product. So I think it was just a rarity though, so if I look a little bit puffy, it's because I had to go and get a steroid shot. So anyways, it was definitely worth it because I love how this paper mache bowl turned out, and I'm really sad that I'm not going to be able to make any more with this product at least, but I think it'll be totally fun for you guys, and it was just a rarity for me. So let's go ahead and jump into it. So instead of taking all the time to make paper mache, I decided to use this pre-made paper mache that I picked up from Hobby Lobby, and it was only $4 after the 40% off coupon, so you couldn't really beat that. You'll also need a bowl to mix up the paper mache in and another bowl to use as the mold, and you'll want to make sure that this one is a really nice smooth shape. You'll also need some saran wrap and some warm water. The first thing you're going to want to do is to cover your bowl in saran wrap and try to get it as smooth as possible. I only have this cling wrap on hand, but saran wrap would be a much better option, and possibly adding some oil between the wrap and the bowl might be a good idea too, and you'll see why later on in the video. Next, we're going to mix up our paper mache. So I scooped out 8 cups of this dry paper mache, and you'll want to do this gently because the powder kind of flies everywhere, and I think this is how my face had an allergic reaction to this stuff. Next, I mixed in a little more than 4 cups of water, so depending on the size of your bowl, you're going to want to use a 2 parts paper mache, 1 part water mix, and this will give you kind of like a biscuit dough consistency, but a little less sticky. Once we've got it all mixed up, I'm going to start applying it all over my covered bowl. You want to make sure that you don't apply too thin of a layer because then it could crack, but you also don't want it to be too thick because then it could take forever to dry and could possibly mold, which would be really gross. So I'd say mine is about 1/4 of an inch thick. And you just want to make sure it's the same thickness all the way around and around the top, and just get it all smoothed out. Next, I'm going to use this measuring cup to make a circle imprint on the bottom of my bowl so that I can create a pedestal-like structure. I'm using my fingernail to stipple around the circle outline to give the paper mache something to hold on to. And then I'm just going to start adding the paper mache around the circle. Next, I just went around the base of the pedestal and smoothed it into the bowl so that it was connected well, and I smoothed out the sides and the bottom as well. I really like the look of this paper mache bowl and thought that it was really different from a lot of the ones that I've seen, so to get this look, I began pinching up some of the paper mache to make a ring all the way around the bowl. Then I'm going back around and smoothing out the pinch marks, and using the sides of my 2 index fingers, I'm smushing out a little more of the paper mache and filling in the gaps where needed. Then I started on the second ring and just repeated the same process as the first. And once the rings are done, we can go ahead and leave this to dry for a couple of days, and leaving it in front of a fan is a really good idea too. Once the outside of the paper mache bowl was totally dry, I tried to remove it from the mold bowl, and it did not want to come off. So I went around the bowl sticking in a butter knife and tried to pry it loose from the mold, and finally I got it to slide out. Once I got the bowl out, I smoothed out the spots that got messed up on the inside of the bowl from the butter knife. And I also ripped the paper mache bowl a little while I was trying to remove it. So I grabbed some Mod Podge and went over the rips to repair them. And I think that they'll add some character to the bowl, so I'm not really too worried about it. Then I left the bowl to dry again for another day. Once the inside was dry, I used my fine grit sanding block to smooth out the edges and round off the rings I made to give them a more worn look. And I'm also going to sand down the pedestal some so that it has a nice flat bottom to sit on. Next, I mixed up 3 different shades of beige with some white and brown acrylic paint that I had on hand to add some dimension to the bowl. And I'm going to be using this lint-free cloth to apply the paint and just dabbing it into the paint and onto the bowl really lightly. And I'm not really following any kind of pattern or method here. I'm just dabbing the different colors all over the bowl and rubbing them in a little bit to blend them in and just give it some dimension. I wanted to add some more depth and layers, so I grabbed some dirt and watered it down a little bit so it would be more of a paste, and went ahead and painted it onto the bowl. And I really focused on the parts of the bowl that I thought would naturally age more, like the edges and the rim. And then I rubbed some into the rest of the bowl and in the inside as well. To blend this out some, I dampened my cloth and started rubbing the dirt into the bowl, and this blended it in really well. I thought that this color was pulling a little too warm, so to tone it down and add more dimension, I grabbed some potting soil that was a little bit darker and painted this onto the bowl just like I did the other dirt. And rubbed it in with the damp cloth as well. And then I also didn't like how much of the original white color was showing through, so to cover it up, I really watered down the potting soil so that it was basically like dirty water, and started dabbing it into the bowl with a paintbrush and really getting into the cracks to cover up the white. After I covered the whole bowl, I used the cloth again to wipe off the excess, and I think this last step really gave this piece the aged look that I was going for and added so much depth and dimension, and I love it so much. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and are able to recreate this high-end look for less. I really only spent $4 on this project total because I already had the paint supplies on hand, but if you don't, then that's only a couple extra bucks. So you can get this super high-end looking paper mache bowl for a really reasonable price and can really help to elevate your space. If you like this video, make sure that you give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel. I make new videos like this every single week on home decor, DIY home decor, and making your home look high-end on a budget. So if you don't want to miss out on any of those, then make sure that you hit the notification bell so that you get notified every time that I upload a new video. And I will see you guys in my next one. Bye.